So that is not every piece of required maintenance. The list can go on and on. If we go across the street in Olympic Village, they have cisterns, so they collect wastewater. They flush it through a system, add chlorine to it, and then use it for the irrigation systems on the outside of the building. That needs preventative maintenance. Filters have to be changed, chemicals have to be changed. There's a number of different things, and again, we started off by saying there's no typical plan. It's always contingent on what your building is, what the age is, how much money you have to spend, more importantly, where do you want it to be in short-term and long-term planning. So now Sean's going to talk a little bit about regular maintenance. So again, I talked about legislative must-do. Sean's going to give you the nice-to-dos.
I think they're more important than nice to do, but okay. So really we're talking about non-capital replacement, which is what we talked about before. I did a bit of research and it was really, really interesting. I talked to 3 realtors that sell in the Metro Vancouver market, and then they're also council members. Because I first started off with just real estate agents, and what they were looking for in curb appeal was much greater than those that were actually on a Strata council. So I think they were really valuable information. And I had to ask them, what do you look for? What do you find has the greatest impact? And so I got a whole bunch of feedback. 2 of them said really having a good curb appeal, and I'm going to go through some items in a second, could affect value up to 25%. That's pretty big. And then I looked at how often people are selling, and it looks like everybody's moving about 14% of the population moves every year. So you've got a significant amount of people in your buildings that are going to be moving, and obviously the value to them is very important. It's also valuable, again, when we talked about that effective life. So here are some, I thought, really interesting areas that when you're doing your maintenance plan, maybe you want to focus on or take into consideration. All 3 said the entrance lobby is critical. And really, that is your first impression. So the outside landscaping they felt was really important, but that interior lobby, the step up, the glass door that has fingerprints all over it. Jerry and I use the 5 and 5. If we go into a building and we see 5 deficiencies in 5 minutes, then we consider that not a really great maintained building. And a deficiency can be millwork pulled off, scratches in the wall, maybe there's some garbage on the floor or something, or the grout's dirty. So 5 and 5. So when you go home, maybe say, can I see 5 deficiencies in 5 minutes? And see that's a good test, a good acid test. So really they said focus on the entrance, the landscaping around the French entrance in particular, paint. All 3 were quite opinionated on the level of painting that needs to be done. And so I would focus and include in my maintenance plan, after talking to them, to have the lobby and the hallways refreshed on a constant basis. I myself, if I lived in a larger tower, would have the lobby painted at least twice a year. Like have that fresh, updated look to it, because all of them were pretty opinionated on that point. Another couple one was bright, having the front entrance area bright, and having light bulbs changed if they die in a quick manner with the same color. And I thought that was really interesting. Oh, of course, yeah, you want the light bulbs to be the same color and not have different colored light bulbs. Sometimes it's more economical to slowly change the light bulbs if you're changing them to a different style as they die. Maybe do that in the rest of the building, but not the lobby. So I thought that was really good. I said, well, what about these amenities? Do they have to be kept in great shape? None of them said yeah. They said they obviously have to be functional and stuff, but they're not as important as that first impression coming into the lobby and the entrance, going to the elevators, and then the hallways. And so I think that's great food for thought. And as far as value and curb appeal, that's where I would focus if I was planning now. And after talking to them, I would focus on those areas and making sure that they're in good shape. So I thought that was good food for thought. So the importance of regular maintenance, value and curb appeal. The next one is extending economic life. So a parquet membrane, you get a lot of brake dust on it, right? You get a little bit of bits of gravel that cars pull in. And if you don't clean your parquets, what happened is that grit breaks down the membrane faster. And membrane's really expensive. You can do areas and stuff, but it's quite expensive to do. So really you're extending the economic life of a lot of the items by doing some of these regular maintenance. And then pride and ownership. It makes sense. You can tell buildings that don't have high cleanliness. They don't have a lot of the janitorial staff doing a regular cleaning schedule. Maybe the garbage isn't being picked up as much. It influences the other people in the building, right? So if there's garbage on the ground and someone drops garbage, they're not going to be as affected to say, oh, I got to pick it up. But if they know the building's clean and they mark a wall, they're going to feel bad about it, and they might even, point it out to someone so they can get painted. So it's really building that culture in the building, and by not doing maintenance, it's almost like a tipping point where it exacerbates the problem and makes it a lot worse. So regular maintenance helps with the pride and ownership. Plus, when you have people come over, this is probably your biggest asset you have in your life. You want it to be a good repair. So it's pride of ownership. So those are the three, I felt, most important part of the regular maintenance. And I'm going to touch on some of those as we go through some items.